Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing the IWC Portugieser 7 Days 5007-07. This is the Ginza Boutique opening edition. So at the opening of the Ginza Boutique in Japan, this watch, launched in 2015, was made in 55 pieces in stainless steel. And you can see a unique gray dial with an image of the shop on the reverse side. So this is part of the 5007 generation, which has the latest variant of the 50,000 series movements. More on that in a moment. The watch in steel is 42.3 millimeters in diameter, 14.2 millimeters thick, from lug tip to lug tip, 50.2 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. The watch is big. I recommend your wrist be my size or larger to wear this. Now, this is fine for me, but you can see from over the top that the lugs are out to the edge of my wrist, and down the barrel you can see pretty much the same thing. There's no overlap, but we're pushing right out to the edge of the real estate. So if your wrist is smaller, you're going to want to look for a smaller Portugieser. The timepiece features a substantial medium rectangular scale alligator leather strap in a medium brown with a semi-gloss finish. You can see there's a lot of bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. There is a curved spring bar to prevent any impingement of the motion of the strap against the case. We have a monotone stitch, and then if you look, there is a shear cut edge on the bottom. It's calfskin, a brand new IWC factory strap, and then we have an IWC satinated, media blasted, and polished single fold snapshot or friction fit deployant clasp. Rolling around the case, this is what the Portugieser has been since the original reference 325 of 1939. A narrow caseband, a caseband that blends with tapered lugs. The lugs taper down to points. We have a crown with IWC's name and Probus Scafusia motto on it, a good solid watch made in Schaffhausen. We have a little bit of a trick of the eye designed to visually thin the watch as the bezel is stepped in from the caseband. Then it has a little vertical lip, then it has a concave profile, then it has a very narrow flatted edge adjacent to the cambered sapphire. You can see that the bezel as well as the lug hoods are polished, and while the dial might appear silver, it's actually a very light gray color. It's not quite silver. If you look at the date disc, that's silver. The dial is gray, almost like it has a light rhodium coat. We have outboard a railroad track for the minutes. We have, just as on the original Portugieser, vertically arrayed Arabic numerals, leaf-style hands, small seconds, which has its own railroad track scale. We have both applied numerals and faceted and applied indices that sit outboard of those numerals. And then, because this is a modern era Portuguese automatic, we also have a power reserve indicator for the 7 days of automatic winding power reserve. Now, you can absolutely wind this watch and watch the power reserve move. That's perfectly viable. Note that both the power reserve and the small seconds are slightly countersunk into the dial and feature concentric patterns. You could split this watch down the center. It is bilaterally symmetrical. We have those lovely feuille or leaf-style hands and a little faceted step down from the dial to the date disc. It's not a sheer, ugly cut through the dial. They did have a little bit of a sloped faceting, which I really like. Taking a quick look, you can see we have a stop seconds function, so you can stop the watch and set it against a reference time. There is also a quick set function, so you can rapidly cycle the date. And you can see on the reverse side, again, the image of the Ginza Boutique in Japan, set amongst the upscale shopping and fancy shops. 30 meters, water resistant, and underneath we have IWC manufactured caliber 52010. Now, it's part of the family that traces its lineage back to the 5000 of the year 2000, and what hasn't changed is that it's still 38.2 millimeters in diameter, one of the world's largest automatics. It's still a 7-day power reserve. It still has a hacking seconds function, an overcoil hairspring, and a peloton winding system. But there are some changes here. First, the peloton system is now completely ceramic for durability, efficiency, as well as reduced dirt on the movement. With the ceramic pawls and pawl wheel, dirt on the movement is finished. That's not a thing anymore. Of course, the original IWC Portugieser 7-day didn't have a date, so we've got that. A big change breaking for 2015, the year this came out, is that the 52,000 series gained twin mainspring barrels and a skeletonized bridge over them. The twin barrels don't give you any more power reserve. It's still 168 hours or 7 days, but with phased mainsprings in series, you now have a very even torque release, so a plateau from max wind to minimum wind, whereas previously these 7-day movements with one barrel were inclined to run very fast when fully wound and then start slowing down precipitously in the last 48 hours of runtime. With twin phased barrels in series, that is gone. It's also a higher beat rate. First it was 18,000 vibrations per hour as the 5,000, then it became the 50,000 series and it became 21,600. Now it is a full 8 beats per second or 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's a free-sprung balance architecture for durability and precise adjustment in 5 positions. It still has that handmade Breguet overcoil, so in any position, the watch may be on your wrist or dresser at night. It's going to keep very consistent time. The watch also features an extraordinary architecture that really is monumental, as the movement by itself is bigger than a Rolex Datejust, and it all pivots on 31 jewels, a really exceptional timepiece, a watch that is IWC inside and out. It's often said there are 2 pillars of IWC in German-speaking northeast Switzerland, in Schaffhausen, the pilot watch and the Portuguese rule. And of course, the Portuguese, dating back to 1939, the Portuguese importers of IWC wanted a wristwatch that was as accurate as a pocket watch. At the time, the only way to do that was to use a pocket watch movement. So a wristwatch was purpose-built around a pocket watch caliber, becoming the first Portugieser, which is Portuguese in IWC's local German, but also the first purpose-built oversized dress watch, decades ahead of that trend. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.